this would have been a $40 million project and a $5 million payday for me at the end. But then the collapse of 2008 happened.
So tell us about kind of how all this started for you, because you have a very, very background. You've done a lot of really super interesting things, but how did you get to the launch part of this?
Well, all of my adult life, I've been an entrepreneur, and I only worked for someone else long enough to get my CPA certificate. That was the work requirement to becoming a CPA. And I had enough of it to realize that, I wanted to be working for myself and apply my creativity. So that's been my whole realm of experience. And I've probably had about 8 different startups in a like number of industries, but the common thread that has run through a lot of the things that I've been doing either directly or in the background is the real estate investing area. So my story really begins in earnest years ago in my small town of Durango, Colorado, where I took a look at where I was going and I said, I've invested in single family homes and in duplexes and even with a partner in a 17-unit complex. But to reach the pinnacle of my profession, I saw it as being a real estate developer. But there was a gap in my experience. And it was like, well, how do I get to do that when I've only invested in up to complexes? And so the obvious answer is align yourself with a partner, a developer, someone who has that expertise. So that's exactly what I did. And I found a partner in Durango, Colorado, who is a developer. And together we found this property for sale right on the riverfront. I mean, you've been there. It's a resort town with a rafting and world-class fly fishing river and the mountains nearby and a great ski resort and very little development on the river other than warehouses and parking lots and things like that. So we had an opportunity to go there and to seize on that. So that's how it initially started.
Wow. So, I mean, you started off, well, first off, like so many entrepreneurs, we work for somebody else for a little bit and we're like, this is definitely not for me. Like, we're the ones who are like, how I can always tell the entrepreneurs when I was a manager, the people who showed up early, wanted to stay late and were trying to make the job better. I was like, these guys are going to run their own business. They're going to do something for themselves because they don't have an employee mindset. So you got your CPA license, you started investing in real estate, which is great. I mean, that's a great way to build some passive income. And then you were like, how do I better this? I have to become a real estate developer. So you found somebody to partner with. How does that lead to launching businesses and doing a launch strategy for somebody? Because that's a pretty big pivot. And I know this didn't happen overnight. So tell us about how you invested in real estate. You started with the riverfront property in Durango, which is gorgeous. What happened from there?
So we undertook a 3-year process to get all of the engineering done and go through city council and all of that kind of stuff. I had $200,000 into it, my partner an equivalent amount. We borrowed $2 million, so we had a total of like $2.5 million in capital in this project. And then our project was 37 condos. It was like I'd been through every unit inch by inch in the planning process. And we were lining up pre-sales for our project, had sold half of them, at about $1 million each in terms of commitments. We even had lenders standing in line to secure us for the construction loan. This would have been a $40 million project and a $5 million payday for me at the end. But then the collapse of 2008 happened. And so all of the bottom fell right out of that. And so, I mean, literally overnight, it was like, no personal guarantee loan required for the construction loan we were about to get, to now we couldn't get anybody, to give us a loan, much less to keep their commitments to buy the condo. So what I learned in this process was that I just had to stop swinging for the bleachers. And this is a critical component of how I got into the online world. And so keep that concept in mind about, rather than swinging for the bleachers, trying to make a home run, let's go for singles along the way. Now, there is a little bit of a side story here in that I did come out from this thing unscathed, except that I lost that investment. I mean, that was a huge investment to lose, but being personally guaranteed on the underlying loan and with a partner facing bankruptcy, I was about to go bankrupt myself. And then lesson number 2 came into play, and that was be sure to treat the people around you well, and it'll all come out fine for you. And so the way that happened was that we had secured a private investor who was behind the bank. And because we treated him well and keeping him informed and not letting the bank force him into a position that would have been detrimental, he remembered that. And when he had the opportunity to buy out our underlying loan, he bailed us out in the process so that we didn't go under with the project. So those were 2 key turning point lessons. Number 1, don't swing for the bleachers. And number 2, take care of people that you're associated with in the process.
Those are 2 really good lessons. Like, it's funny. This is the second time that how you treat people has come up today. I'm a big believer in that. Like, when I go on a first date with somebody, I always watch to see how they treat the waitress, waiter. I always look at other people to see how they treat the people that work under them. If we're on a call with somebody and their assistant's on, looking to see how they treat their assistant, how their employees like working for them. Because if any of that is bad, they're, regardless of how much money they make, they're not a good person. They're not going to be good to work with. They're going to treat you the same way they treat the other people around them, right? So that is a huge lesson. And that came back. I've found the same thing. You never know. I can't tell you the number of people that have come up to me that I did something for or had a random conversation with over the last 6-7 years.
Mm-hmm.
I had somebody the other day come back to me like 4.5 years ago. They reached out on Facebook and something I had completely forgotten about. And they were like, thank you so much. Like, this really affected my life. What can I do to help you? Like, that stuff is priceless in the amount, in the way, like the karma, I guess would be the right word.